Have you ever tried to learn a piece of music and felt like you're just kind of copying sounds without really getting it? Well, today we're going to explore a totally different way of thinking, one that treats music less like a task to be memorized and more like a language to be spoken fluently. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about a really common learning trap that holds so many people back. Then we'll dive into this huge mental shift, thinking of music as a language. From there, we'll get practical with the core concepts and a specific method for learning, all leading to what I think is the real prize, moving beyond just being perfect. All right, first up, the memorization trap. You know, that method where you just play something over and over and over again. It feels like you're making progress, but as we'll see, it's often a dead end. And this really lays out the two paths, doesn't it? On the one hand, you've got rote memorization. It's all about the short-term, pure repetition, and it kind of limits you. But on the other hand, you have musical literacy. That's the long game. It's based on a real understanding, and it opens up this incredible creative freedom. So let's be super clear about what we're talking about here. Rote memorization. It's when you learn the exact sequence of notes for one song, but you have absolutely no idea why those notes work together. You're basically learning the what without ever asking the why. And this is where the real problems start to creep in. It gives you this false sense of security, right? But pretty soon, it just leads to boredom, because you end up with a memory of a few songs, not a real grasp of music itself. And that makes it almost impossible to tackle something new and complex all on your own. Okay, so if memorizing is the trap, what's the escape route? It all starts with this simple but honestly profound shift in how you think. What if, instead of just repeating sounds, we actually learned to read and speak the language of music? This right here, this is the whole idea. Just think about how we all learned to talk. We didn't memorize entire books from day one, right? No, we learned letters, then we made words, and then we started building our own sentences. Music, it can and it really should be learned the exact same way. And look at how perfectly this analogy maps out. The individual notes, they're your letters, your ABCs. Little patterns and intervals, those are your first words. Scales and chords, well, that's your grammar, the rules that hold it all together. And once you've got that, composition is your own creative writing. You can say whatever you want. Okay, so music is a language? That sounds great, but how do you actually do it? This isn't just a nice idea. It's a practical method, and it's built on 3 core concepts that all work together. It's this amazing cycle. First, you learn to read and play. Then, you make that connection even deeper with read and write. And finally, you lock it all in by creating. It's a complete reinforcing loop of learning. So that first step, read and play, this is your absolute foundation. This is the skill of looking at a page of music and just playing it. Translating it directly into sound, no memorization needed. This is what sight reading is all about. Next, read and write takes it to a whole other level. This is where you connect your ears, your eyes, and your hands. It's about hearing a melody in your head and knowing exactly how to write it down, or looking at a sheet of music and hearing it in your mind before you even play a note. And all of that leads to this, creating. This is the magic moment. It's where passive knowledge becomes active understanding. You take all those building blocks you've learned and you start to make your own stuff, composing, improvising. This is what makes music truly yours, and it's what keeps that fire lit. Okay, let's get super practical for a second. How does this look in the real world? Well, a great example is this foundational stage that's sometimes called the fine zone. The fine zone is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's a stage of pure discovery. And that magnifying glass is the perfect symbol, isn't it? It's all about putting the fundamental pieces of music under the microscope until they just click. Now, this might look like a lot, but what's so cool about this is the path it lays out. It's so clear and progressive. You don't just jump in the deep end. You can see how level 1 starts with the absolute basics, like symbols and simple notes. Then by level 2, you're building on that, adding more notes, 2-note blends, and rhythm. It's just systematic. It makes sense. So you can see what's happening here. The fine zone is literally teaching you the language of music piece by piece. You start with the alphabet, the notes. Then you get rhythm down. Pretty soon you're making these little 2-note blends and then recognizing common musical words and patterns. And all this hard work, it leads us to the real payoff, the ultimate goal. And it's not about playing a song without a single mistake.
It's about something so much deeper and way more rewarding. And this right here, this is the core message. Because perfection is fragile, right? You make one mistake and it's gone. But understanding, that's permanent. The real goal is to actually comprehend the music, its structure, its harmony, its feeling, not just to copy it flawlessly.
So what does that true understanding actually look like? Well, it's not just one thing. It's a mix of deeply comprehending the theory behind the notes, seeing the musical structure of a piece, and being able to actually apply your skills in a creative way, like improvising or writing your own little variations. And to get there, you need a different mindset. It's about completely reframing how you think about mistakes. They aren't failures, they're just part of the journey. The whole focus shifts from that one perfect performance to celebrating the effort and the understanding you gain along the way. So, I'll just leave you with this final thought. Imagine changing your relationship with music from just imitation to an actual conversation. Because when you learn to speak the language of music, you don't just get a new skill, you unlock a lifetime of creative, meaningful expression.